clip data and see who will be interested in order to support maybe first 20 or 30 of those brands in order to raise awareness of mental health. The case of this suicide among young people is really increasing, and I feel so bad. And I feel like maybe through this closing brand that I'm going to release, and at least most of the funds, for example, 30 or 40% can go initially to raise awareness, organize community workshops on this topic of mental health.
Great stuff, man. I hope my voice is clear because I just pulled out the headphones and I was more comfortable talking like this and listening to you guys like this. I hope you can also hear me clear.
Yeah, your voice is very clear.
Okay, great stuff. So yeah, Emmanuel, I'm glad to chat with you. This is another side of Bitcoin Cash. I think some people like here, which is others who are like Pratik and Anna, had not heard of. Because we are talking about technical aspect and what Bitcoin Cash is doing and how technically we are superior, decentralized, things like that. But the actual use case that you're doing that as a community is something new to this meetup. And thanks for joining and sharing your experience. For the point that we are talking about, the BCH Bliss, then the conference that's coming up in May, that's the time when the development rolls out. That's when whatever that we had decided 6 months ago that we think this is the new update for the BCH chain is been talked about, is been agreed on, and it's been announced that particular block number, and the block number falls in the same time as when the conference happens. That's why the BCH Bliss is done at that time. It's happening in Ljubljana. You guys are aware of that. I think that's through the meetup. But are you Emmanuel by any chance planning to visit and travel to Ljubljana?
I was planning to, but I've been trying to make fundraising, for example, for my trip. Sure. And I hope I will be able to raise that on time. For that, fingers crossed for now. I'm very expectant. Otherwise, I will join virtually to follow up like last year.
True that. Even me, I was virtually connected last year. Even this year, I wouldn't be making our trip in person. I had my time in Europe. I should travel there so often from 2004 till 11. Now I'm so busy in India. I just didn't have the time to book myself. Maybe the next year. Yes, even I wouldn't looking up to join next year. Like I think Pratik, who's also here, you were talking about Zapit and all that, right? So Zapit was there from the beginning. It was there in Ljubljana. And this time also Zapit's main partner, who's the CTO of Zapit, he's also going to be joining in Ljubljana. The last year they were there, Romit and Kuldeep, the names. But yes, Ljubljana is a great place. I've not been there yet, not even once. Europe trip, what I used to do was only mostly Western Europe and not the Middle and Eastern. Middle and Eastern is where Ljubljana is. Ljubljana is a very known place. If you look up online, if you guys want to know what's been happening in Ljubljana almost 12 years ago, if you look up Ljubljana Bitcoin space, you should see some videos that's going on. Back in 2013, 14, 15, 16 itself, Ljubljana was big on transactions. Ljubljana used to accept Bitcoin widely. A lot of people love Bitcoin, just like how Berlin also got on at that time. Many people, because they are one of the Western cities, right? Like London, New York, these Ljubljana, Berlin. They're all most Western cities right now, most developed. In the most developed nations is where the banking controls are the most. Means most of the people, like 95% and more, are on the banks. Unlike India and Africa, I think not 95% will not be on the banking ladder. Even in India, we don't have so many. So there, because there is a lot of people on the banking ladder, they were much more controlled, and a lot of people were looking forward to having a decentralized, having a non-controlled currency for people to do transactions with, and then have the freedom of making payments, value transfer, settlements all throughout their country or globally. They were doing it then, and Bitcoin was used then. And if some videos you should see, they are transacting as low as 0.003, and 0.003 back then would have been 0.01 would have been 400, 0.003 would have been some 100, 120. So like dollar and a half, like around $1 payments they used to make, and $1 to $5 payments. If you're making $1 to $5 payments online, you need a fee that is less than $1, right? Why? What's the point in making a $5 transaction, and if you're paying $15 as fee for that, or $5 also, or even $1 for it matter? It's a high fee. But then those times the fees were less. Just after, of course, the RBF came in and all the Bitcoin Cash split happened in 2017, Bitcoin has gone to the dogs. We cannot relate to those videos that is there in Ljubljana back in 10, 12 years ago. When 10, 12 years ago they were doing transactions so easily. Now they can't. They cannot do it with Bitcoin because of the way that the Bitcoin development is screwed, and they're charging high fees for a small transaction. Back in 2017 bull run, if I'm not wrong, the Bitcoin fee at a peak of bull run went up to $1,000. That's a joke. If you're paying $1,000 to make a transaction on Bitcoin chain, who can use these transactions? Only a few rich people. It is supposed to be for everybody in the world. They did not consider that and then screwed Bitcoin over. Thanks for Bitcoin Cash. Luckily, we still have that, and we have a fixed amount of fees for it. It's 1 Satoshi per byte, which comes up to only like say 50 to 30 paise in Indian rupees. That's not even 1 cent in US dollar, which is the actual fee today for moving Bitcoin Cash around. So that's the kind of development we need for the world, because to scale a cryptocurrency for the world, a single chain, because if you have a single blockchain that becomes popular and on a decentralized platform like Bitcoin Cash blockchain, we can start adding everything else on that blockchain, just like the IPs, intellectual properties can go on them. All kind of regulatory framework can go on the blockchain of Bitcoin Cash. That's where we want the real, usable, scalable blockchain. Thanks to Bitcoin Cash today. I think for those reasons, I really want to attend the meetup, the conference in Ljubljana. But anyway, we're not missing it out. Previous year we sent 2 people, and this year there's going to be 1. But next year I'm hoping there'll be 3 of us, or even more. So we're looking forward to being there. But this meetup is to promote the good side of your Ljubljana kind of conference, and the real use case of Bitcoin Cash. Yeah, Pratik, you guys, please go ahead if you have anything to add to it, or ask me about, or to know more about Bitcoin Cash and the conference that's going on.
Yeah, I wanted to know about the conference, like which platform does it happen online?
Online, I think closer to the time you'll be able to find them, especially on Twitter. You will find all the links. Just follow at Bitcoin BCH Bliss. BCH Bliss is the handle that they have on Twitter. It's
Okay,
amazing.
I will be doing
Yeah,
that.
they're having the conference on the day of the your update that's going to go on the Bitcoin Cash blockchain. On the day of the update, alongside the update is going on, we're doing the conference and talking about all the developments that's going around in the BCH community. Zapit was big last year when Zapit was showcased on the community. Along with Zapit, there were a few other wallets as good as Zapit, which was there in the conference last year in Ljubljana. This year, there's going to be a few other like Celine wallet and a few other, and the concepts of what Emmanuel was trying to do in South Sudan and Africa. Some of the topics are being talked about, will be talked about, and we will be noticing how the development of the chain also happens. That's the beauty of our Ljubljana conference. Unlike Bitcoin conference that happened recently, there were just so many, unimaginable developments that they want on Bitcoin, but the developers themselves were limiting them so much. It was not a match at all from the people's interest in Bitcoin's conference to what the developers were offering. At least in the BCH conference in place like Ljubljana, the interest of the developers and the interest of the people who are using BCH, they're kind of meeting in some place or the other, where they're trying to build, easy ways to help the people, not like the Bitcoin unimaginable, magical things that they were shooting at people. Like they wanted so much development, but they couldn't even understand on a blockchain based system, these developments